Hello, and welcome back to The Communicative Leader. I'm your host, Dr. Leah Millian Hodges, or Dr. O. Today, we're reaching a pivotal milestone in our roadmap. If you've been following along, we are officially wrapping up level 2 of my book, Amplifying Your Leadership Voice, From Silent to Speaking Up. In our last episode, we got tactical. We talked about the how, refining your verbal impact, mastering your digital presence, so you don't end up getting lost in the noise of Slack, Zoom, all those endless email chains. But here's the reality, my friends. Even if you have the perfect tone and a flawless LinkedIn presence, you're still going to hit walls. Those walls are often invisible. They're cultural boundaries, they're unspoken biases, complex identities we all bring to the table. So today we're diving into chapters 6 and 7, and this is where our work gets deep. We're learning how to refine our voice, not just for our own benefit, but for the diverse global world we live in. We're going to discuss how to break through systemic barriers and why language is about so much more than the words we choose. It's about belonging. All right, let's get into it. So chapter 6 of the book is titled Breaking Barriers, Overcoming Obstacles to Your Leadership Voice. I'll be honest with you, this chapter is a bit of a reality check. I wish I could tell you that if you just follow a 3-step formula for speaking up, every door will fly open. But leadership communication, it doesn't happen in a vacuum. It happens in a world that's shaped by dynamics, rigid organizational power structures, systemic biases. So in this book, I break down the internal and external barriers. Internal barriers, those are like the inner critics, the imposter syndrome, the fear of being found out. That's what we tackled back in level 1. But the external barriers, those are the ones that the world puts in front of you. Maybe it's a culture that doesn't value certain communication styles, or a glass ceiling that feels more like a soundproof room. So to understand how to move past these daunting boundaries, I sat down for a Conversation with Leaders feature in this chapter with Jenn Drummond. Jenn isn't just a leader. She is a world record-holding mountaineer, the first woman, in fact, to climb the second highest summits on all 7 continents. Think about that for a second. When Jenn hits a wall, it is a literal wall of ice, my friends. She shared this incredible insights with me on resilience. We discuss how to move from this catastrophic, catastrophe mindset where every setback feels like the end of the road to a climbing mindset. In a climbing mindset, a barrier isn't a stop sign. It's a data point. It's information telling you need a different tool or a different route to reach that summit, to reach that goal. With that in mind, here is a leadership communication tip for the week. I want you to conduct what I call a barrier audit. Maybe you're being talked over in meetings, or maybe your ideas are being repeated by others and they're getting the credit. Stop and ask yourself, is this barrier coming from inside me, or is it a hurdle in the environment? Once you name the barrier, it loses its psychological power over you. If it's environmental, stop blaming your talent and start strategizing your navigation. I provide a full diagnostic tool for this in Amplifying Your Leadership Voice. If you feel stuck, it is your starting point. So once we name the barriers, we have to build the bridge. This brings us to chapter 7, communicating across boundaries. In our globalized workplace, you aren't just communicating with colleagues, you're communicating with cultures. You're likely working with people whose cultural defaults, their kind of baked in assumptions about work, can be very different from your own. If you lead, if you communicate using only your cultural lens, you are accidentally silencing a huge portion of your team. So in this chapter, we look at the difference between high context and low context communication. Are you someone who needs everything spelled out in an SOP? Are you someone who reads between the lines really well? Neither is right or wrong, but if you don't know which one your team uses, your leadership voice is going to sound like static. Other thing, one of the biggest boundaries we face is language, not just the vocabulary, but the sense of belonging that language creates or destroys. I feature a fascinating interview in chapter 7, and this is with Heather Hansen. She's the author of Unmuted, How to Show Up, Speak Up, and Inspire Action. And Heather and I talked about the concept of an unmuted leader. This is someone who creates a psychological safety net where every accent, every dialect, every communication style is valued. We discussed how many brilliant minds are muted in corporate America because they don't speak standard American English perfectly. As a communicative leader, your job is not to demand or seek perfection, it's to facilitate connection. Okay? So when you move through this week, the next time you are in a cross-cultural or cross-functional meeting, I want you to practice active inclusion. Instead of assuming everyone is on the same page, I want you to try this really simple pivot. I want you to make sure, this is you saying, I want to make sure I'm interpreting this correctly. And from your perspective, how does this project look like from your side of the world or your side of the table, your side of the organization, right? This isn't just across geographic boundaries, it can be across different departments. This small step, it shifts you from a commander who's just giving orders to a connector. It invites the other person to bring their full cultural intelligence or professional intelligence to the table. You can find more pragmatic materials and checklists in Chapter 7. It'll help you audit your meetings, your conversations for inclusion. So what we have done now, my friends, is we have finished level 2. You've done the hard work on refining your instrument. You polished the delivery, you mastered the digital jungle, you learned how to navigate the complex, beautiful boundaries of the modern workplace. You are no longer just speaking up. You're speaking with intention and with intelligence. And next week, when we move into the next phase, level 3, amplifying your leadership voice, this is a big one. This is where we stop looking at individual interactions and we're going to look at your presence, how you show up as a thought leader and a person of influence, not only in your team, not only in your organization, but in your industry. If you are ready to bridge the gap in your team right now, you need the frameworks we discussed today. From Jenn Drummond's resilience strategies to Heather Hansen's tips on global belonging, it's all waiting for you in the pages of my new book. I don't want you to let these invisible barriers keep your voice small. So go to the link in the show notes, grab your copy of Amplifying Your Leadership Voice from Silent to Speaking Up, and let's finish refining that voice so you can start amplifying your impact. I'm Dr. Leo Millian Hodges. This is the Communicative Leader. I will see you next week for level 3.